Hello everyone, in this tutorial, I'm gonna show you a very quick way to use slider control to set up a stretch and squash rig for any object in After Effects, like this. Without further ado, let's dive into it. So the goal of this tutorial is to introduce you this very powerful tool called slider control, while showcasing its most common usage. Instead of using a square shape, I want to give you more context by bringing my own logo. So I just double click to bring my logo in, and it's already there, and I want to set up a composition by click here, create a new composition, and the dimension is just what I want, 1920 by 1080, and the frame rate is 30. And the duration, I'm gonna say 4 seconds is good enough for my logo animation, so I just hit OK. Next, I'm gonna bring my logo to the layer panel, and because I want to do a logo dropping animation along with some stretch and squash, so I want to first change the anchor point from the center to the bottom, like this. And always remember to switch back to selection tool after you change the anchor point from any position. Now here comes the juicy part where I'm gonna call out the slider control effect. Navigate to our effects and preset channel, and you can just type slider. Sorry, it's in Chinese. So you can see slider controls over here, double click, and it's now in your effect control panel. Before diving into the technical details of the slider control, I want to talk about the logic behind it first. So let me put out this graph to show you how it controls the shape of your object. So this shall be the default of the slider control, where your shape remains the same. And if you slide to the left, it will stretch. Whereas you slide to the right, it will squash. And in order to set this up, we need to set some value for our slider control. You want to go here and right-click the slider. Remember, right-click the slider, not the name, cause you will get different menu. Let's set this to 200. And click OK. Drop it down and change the value of the reset to 100. And next, we're gonna link the scale property to the slider control. And now we can already see how the slider control is controlling the scale of it, but it's not a stretch and squash animation. That's because we didn't set the expression to this scale. I know you might feel panic about this expression, but worry no more. You just need to copy and paste the expression code down in the description. Exactly like this. Remember to copy from the beginning to the end, including the bracket. So let's copy it and drop it down. Select the original one and delete. And then paste whatever you copied here. And that's done. You might also encounter this error message. Don't panic. This is just reminds you that the name here is not matching to the name here. So we just need to rename our slider control to stretch and squash. In this case, I want to just select this exact name, click copy, and right-click rename and paste it. Now, if you play with the slider, you can already see the impact on your object. Let's move to the most satisfying phase. The animation I want to do is making the logo dropping from outside of the frame to the current position. So in this case, I set the keyframe to both the position and the slider, and hit U on your keyboard to only show the parameters with keyframes. Now let's set up its beginning and ending position first. maybe around here, I'm click the position. Of course, in the beginning, it should be somewhere outside of the frame like this. And if I click play, it shall drop like this. And remember our good friend, Easy Ease. At this point, I'm gonna select my keyframe and go to animation, a key assistant, and bring Easy Ease in. As we all know, according to the animation principles, when an object drop, it shall stretch, and when it hits the ground, it shall squash, and then it backs to normal. So in this case, I'm gonna mimic this physical phenomenon. I will try to locate where I want to stretch the most. So in this case, I just click position, and I open up the graph editor. I want to exaggerate it a little bit like this. So maybe around here, I want my logo to stretch the most. So I change the slider control here. And then when it drops, I want it to squash. So I change it to maybe around this value. And if I hit play, it's like that. And of course, it needs to be recovered. So maybe around here, I want to bring it to 100. Let's check it again. It's shaping. And I want to further edit it to perfection. Until here, I have my logo dropped. And I also want to do a loop where the logo is lifted back. So I just keep adding more keyframes like this. And I'm also gonna do squash and stretch control for this animation. Remember what we've learned in animation principles? The second principle is called anticipation. Before it is lifted, we want it to be ready. That's why I'm adding these two sliders. One is for locking up the logo and one is for anticipation. So it needs to be a little bit squashed. And when it's lifted back, around here, maybe, I want it to be very stretched. Now we have a loop. But I'm not very happy with the stretch value. Maybe more exaggerated. Good, now I'm satisfied. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time.